Good morning. It's Uncle Lou here. Yeah, that's right. It's me, Uncle Lou, live for you on LouTube today. Thanks for watching. This is the live show we do every Monday and Wednesday at 3 o'clock Eastern. We talk about whatever's going on in the world of college football or sports in general. Sometimes we have guests on at the beginning of the show, and then we take viewer phone calls for the majority of the show. If you're new around here, subscribe to Uncle Lou. Watch Uncle Lou every day like you're supposed to. That would be great. I do have a guest lined up for today. He's going to be calling in around 3:15 to talk NFL draft with us. Before we get to him, I'll spend the first few minutes of the show talking about the spring games from this past weekend. Of course, I was at the Georgia spring game, so I'll talk about that a little bit. Give you my thoughts on what I thought about Georgia's team. Since I haven't done a video on that yet, I figured I would just do it at the beginning of today's live show. I also uploaded a video 20 minutes or so ago, right before this show started. Some of you might have seen it already. I'll talk a little bit about that video too once we get the show going. But before we start, let's go ahead and play for you today's Uncle Lou video starring General Valtard. Good morning.
You listen what the general tell you now.
Lingering around like a bad idea. Heading salvation, threatening damnation. I'm about to drop you like cane drop.
Jerome, goddammit, Jerome, just Pruitt, you got a lot of goddamn nerve, Jerome, Pruitt, what are you doing? What are you doing, Jerome? You got so goddamn nerve. You got, listen what the general tell you, listen what the general tell you, Jerome. Jerome Pruitt, listen what the general about to tell you. I have suffered through 0-8. I have suffered through losing 4 out of 6 to Vanderbilt. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I have suffered through Butch Loud Jones. Ooh. I have suffered through having a losing streak to all 13 other SEC teams at the same goddamn time. Ooh. I suffered through Blame Dooley. I'm not gonna suffer, Jerome. I'm not gonna suffer by having my own head coach talk shit about me. Ooh! You got a lot of goddamn nerve. Ooh, you got some goddamn. You talk shit about the fans, Jerome. You can't do that, Jerome. We've been through hell. We've been through hell and back. Actually, not back. We still in hell. We're still in hell, and we gotta listen to you talking shit about the fans. You said the team quit. That's fine. That's the best damn thing the team has done since 1998. It's quitting the spring game. That's fine. You don't talk about the fans. You don't talk about the goddamn fans, Lyle. What are you doing? You worse than Lyle. You worse than Lyle. You know what you can do, Jerome? You know what you can do, Jerome Pruitt? You know what you can do? You know what you can do, Jerome? You can take all this shit you're talking about the fans, you can ball it up into a nice little ball, and you can stick it right up the General big sunny ass, Jerome. That's what you can.
Whoa, General, no. Calm down. We can't have that on YouTube, man. Cannot have that on YouTube, dude.
He's talking shit about the fans, Lou.
I know. Listen, your dude just dropped off your meth stash out front, man. Go
I'll
get
be
it.
back, Lou.
Yeah. Dude mad, ain't he?
I'm about to drop you like Cain drop Abel.
Hey, good morning, it's Uncle Lou here. Yeah, that's right, it's me, Uncle Lou. Yeah, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it also, and in addition to that as well. I'm happy today. I couldn't be any happier. You know, when the Voltars fired, Lyle, Butch Jones.
Type.
Good morning, it's Uncle Lou here. Yeah. Okay, so spring games this weekend. Georgia had the largest attendance. No surprise there. Yeah, I told you that was going to happen. It was a sellout at UGA. There was only about 85,000 people there, not the normal 95, because one end zone section of the stadium was closed for construction, but there was no empty seats. They were turning people away at the gate as the game started. So UGA wins the spring game attendance national championship again. Yeah, without a problem too. As far as the game goes, the game was boring as hell. I'm not going to lie. And that's not really why I go to the spring game. Yeah, it's fun to see some of the new guys, some of the new players that you've never seen before. Your Justin Fields, your Kyrus Jacksons, Brenton Cox played a lot and looked good. It's fun to see those guys finally suit up in the red and black, but the game itself was boring as hell. The offense in particular was boring to watch. Jake Fromm had a terrible game. I don't care what any Georgia fans say. Whatever excuses they want to make, they can. Jake Fromm looked absolutely terrible. Does that mean I'm worried or concerned about the season? No, I have zero worry or zero concern at all. I'm not at all worried about what Jake Fromm does in a spring game. I've seen what he can do in 15 regular season games, and I'm happy with what we have with Jake Fromm. It was a vanilla offense. None of our top three running backs played in this game. One is injured, one is hurt, and one is not on campus yet. If you think Elijah Holyfield or Brian Herrien are the answer at running back, well, then you haven't been listening to Uncle Lou every day like you're supposed to. I've been telling you forever. It's the reason these two guys are career backups. Look, I'm not knocking them. I like Herrien and Holyfield. It's good to have depth at the running back position. But people who thought Elijah Holyfield was going to come in this year and set the world on fire, I don't know what they're smoking. Some of that General Voltard, good. I've been trying to tell people forever and a day. Holyfield's been on campus. It's his third year now. He's been dead last on the depth chart every single year he's been there. I don't see that changing this year. Herrien outperformed him in the spring game. Herrien averaged 7-something yards a carry. Holyfield averaged, I think, 4.5 yards a carry. Couldn't catch the ball out of the backfield. So, until I see the offense with James Cook, Zamir White, and DeAndre Swift, I'm not judging anything I saw from Georgia's offense on Saturday. Defensively, Kirby Smart's been lying to me. Kirby Smart been trying to tell everybody all spring that the defense wasn't any good, that the offense was way ahead of the defense. Yeah, anybody at the game with a set of eyes could see that was a lie. Giant magic trick Kirby tried to pull at the spring game there. I'm not worried or concerned at all. It was a boring game. Jake Fromm played bad. I'm not worried. I mean, I don't know what else you want me to say about the game itself. I don't go to the spring game just for the game. There's lots of other reasons I go to the spring game, and I've listed those off for you guys a million times. But I had a great time. I enjoyed meeting. I met a ton of people up there from LouTube. Even met one or two of you that's in the comment section right now. I'm not going to say who that is. If you guys want to say who you are, you can in the comment section. That's up to you. But I figured out that some people who act mad in the comment section aren't actually all that mad when you meet them. But I had a great time. The tailgate that I went to was unbelievable. I was invited to that tailgate from a guy that I know from a Facebook group that I run on Facebook, a Georgia Facebook group that I run on Facebook. He invited me to the tailgate, and it was first class all the way around. Ribeyes, ribs, hamburgers, hot dogs, all the sides and fixings that you could want. Treated me and my entire family like gold while we were up there. Just a great time. The weather was perfect. You couldn't have asked for a better day to hold a spring game. So me and the Lou's had a great time. Luann actually took one of her friends with her. And the friend's mother came too, which was great for Mrs. Lou, because that gave Mrs. Lou something to do and somebody to talk to while I was busy doing whatever it is I do at the spring game, which is get stopped every 5 or 6 minutes or so by people and asked for pictures and whatnot, which I don't mind at all. So if you're one of those people, I don't mind doing it, but it was nice that Mrs. Lou had somebody there with her, and she didn't feel left out or bored. But anyway, I had a great time. I enjoyed meeting all you guys, and it's like I said, as far as the game itself, I wasn't very impressed, but I'm not worried or concerned. Some Georgia fans are. They want to put Fields in already. Fields look better. Look, we went through this same thing last year, and I'll say the same thing I said last year. Fromm looked better than Easton in the spring game last year. That didn't mean I automatically wanted Fromm to start over Easton. I think experience matters. I've seen, if I've seen a guy do something in an actual game, that means more to me than anything I see on high school tape, practice, or a spring game. It just does. And that's not going to change. So Fromm is the starter. Yes, Fields look good. My opinion hasn't changed at all. Jake Fromm will start, and Justin Fields will play meaningful minutes in every single game of the year. There's no denying the talent and ability that kid has. He throws a beautiful ball. It's hard to judge his running around type ability in a spring game because, of course, quarterbacks are off limits. It's basically two-hand touch on the quarterbacks. He got sacked a few times, or it was called a sack a few times, when I don't really think it would have been a sack in a real game. I think he probably would have been able to get away, and he probably got away a few times where in a real game it may have been a sack if the defensive players weren't letting up and things like that. So it's just damn near impossible to judge a quarterback's running ability based off of anything you see in a spring game. Defensively, I was impressed. I thought the defensive secondary was a lot better than I thought they would be this early on. We're having to replace a lot of guys back there. We rotated a lot of bodies in and out on the defensive line and the linebackers. We had some sort of odd arrangements on the defense. I'm not sure if that was a deal where Kirby was trying to sort of figure out if different guys can fit in different spots, or if it was maybe a numbers thing. where due to injuries or people that haven't enrolled yet or whatever, we were kind of just having to plug and play players in positions that they may not normally be playing. Inside linebacker was a position I was watching because it's sort of up in the air on who's going to get the start there between, you got Natrez Patrick, Monty Rice, Nate McBride, Juwan Taylor, is that his name? So only two of those guys can start. It wouldn't surprise me if see all four of them get a lot of playing time. Outside linebacker, I was very impressed. I've been worried with losing Bellamy and Lorenzo Carter, but I'm happy with what I saw on the edge on UGA's defense on Saturday. Walter Grant, DeAndre Walker, I think are stars with possible NFL futures. Defensive line, I wasn't worried about to start with. We've got enough returners coming back there. And like I said, the defensive secondary did impress me. They looked better than what I thought they would look. How much of that contributed to Fromm's struggles in the game? Who knows? I'll also say this, too. That was the best defense Jake Fromm will face until the first week of December, period. We don't play a team with a better defense than ours this season. We just don't. Auburn's is the closest. I'll give Auburn some credit. They have a legit defense. It's not on Georgia's level. It's just not. Now, their defensive front may be a little bit better than Georgia's, but defense as a whole, I would take UGA over any team on our schedule. So Fromm struggled, but like I said, that'll be the best defense he sees all year, period. Until the first week of December, if we play Alabama or a possible unknown playoff game in January. No way to know any of that yet, if Georgia will even be there or who that would be against. But as far as the 12 teams we play in the regular season, Jake Fromm and the Georgia offense won't see anything close to the level of what they saw Saturday. They just won't. Now, this guy should be calling in. I'm waiting on him now. Let me just call him because I'm tired of waiting. I'm very busy and important. Don't have a lot of time to wait, so I better call him. See what he's see what the problem is.
Hello?
Hey, good morning.
Yes.
You want to go live on the air with Uncle Lou?
Yes, I do.
Great. Hold on 1 second. All right, so I got Spencer on. We've had him on before. We had him on to talk about some college basketball, and we've had him on to talk about the NFL one time before too. And I talked to him a couple of weeks ago. Told him I wanted to have him on for some NFL draft discussion, and so he's kind enough to join us today. So without any further ado, Spence, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, how you doing, Lou? I've been watching the show, man. You're doing a hell of a job, and it was really cool to see that you enjoyed yourself in Athens this weekend.
Oh, yeah, I had a great time up there, and normally I would have had John right at 3, but I hadn't had a chance to make a video giving my thoughts on that spring game, so I figured I'd take a few minutes at the top, knock that out, and now we're gonna get straight to the draft here. Now, well, I'm going to put up on the screen. I thought about putting up a mock draft on the screen, but I decided against that because I want to know sort of your thoughts on where some players might go as opposed to just us staring at Mel Kiper or Todd McShay or Peter King or somebody like that. But I do have a chart here, and I'm going to put it up. I'm going to put it up now. And what this is. This is just a chart that lists players with a first-round grade according to most NFL scouts, Spence. So just to give you an example here, quarterbacks with first-round grades, they list Lamar Jackson, Josh Rosen, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. Where's that other quarterback, though? How come he's not on?
Josh Allen?
Yeah, how come he's not on here? What's the problem?
I guess Lance Zierlein, you have the NFL.com rankings on there?
I don't know whose rankings these are, to be honest.
I think that, usually Josh Allen is definitely ahead of Lamar Jackson and so many, prognosticators, and Josh Allen could be the number one pick in the draft, so I'm really surprised he's not on there.
Yeah, not sure what's going on here. Now, my thoughts on the quarterback, and then I'll let you tell me why I'm wrong here. Now, yes, I do hate Baker Mayfield. That's not a secret. I don't think he's going in the top 10. Change my mind.
Okay, well, Baker Mayfield, out of all of these quarterbacks, I mean, you look at, I'll change your mind. You look at Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine, both of them graduate. And that Oklahoma defense last year was a train wreck.
Oh, yeah.
And Baker Mayfield, he went into that game against Texas. He performed great against Texas. He went at Ohio State. Ohio State has a ton of defensive talent. You know, they have the Bosa kid there. They have Denzel Ward. You know, Shiano had a lot of great defensive talent. Baker Mayfield went to he went to the shoe, the horseshoe there in week 3. He lit up Ohio State. He killed Ohio State in that game. And you could say whatever you want about Urban or the Big Ten, but to go into that game in Columbus with such a young team, and this was Lincoln Riley's first year as a head coach. He wasn't Bob Stoops. He was a 35-year-old guy from East Carolina. He took Oklahoma to that Rose Bowl, and he was up on you guys, I think, by 7 with an inferior team with 5 minutes to go. And in that first half, he lit up, UGA's defense, which was the best defense in college football last year. He did a lot more than Alabama or Brian Dable could do against your defense in Georgia. So I look at Baker Mayfield. He's a rhythm passer. He's accurate. I look at Josh Rosen and think that Josh Rosen has more personality concerns than Mayfield. I think that Baker Mayfield, if he's on your team, you love him. If you're playing against him, you could certainly hate him.
I mean, I could tell you right now, I wouldn't take Rosen or Mayfield in the top 10. There's too many issues with their personality, like you mentioned. And how tall is Baker Mayfield?
Baker's he's 6 foot 6'1", yeah. So I think he's probably 6 feet or 6'1", actually. But yeah,
maybe with heels on. With heels on, maybe. But listen, I have this argument a lot with people, particularly Georgia fans, recently about Jake Fromm, who already think he's going to be the first pick in the NFL after his junior year. There are 2 quarterbacks in the NFL under 6 feet tall: Drew Brees and Russell Wilson, unless I'm missing one. Height matters, and pointing out the exception to the rule, I don't think does anything other than prove the rule. He's short. Baker Mayfield is to be a quarterback, in my opinion. No team he goes to in the NFL is going to run that spread offense that he ran at Oklahoma. His teammates love the rah-rah stuff because they're 18 and 19 years old. I don't see that kind of, pumping your fists up in the air on the sidelines and running up and down and warming up in the opponent's end zone before the game. I don't see stuff like that working in the NFL.
Well, Lou, but let me ask you a question. Look at Cam Newton and the dab. That was equally immature. And Cam Newton went 15-1, took Carolina to the Super Bowl, was the MVP, was wildly successful. And then you look at Brett Favre, and Brett, was doing those sort of things as well.
Okay,
so
Cam
what do
Newton
you think about Cam and Brett?
Cam Newton is 6'6", okay, runs a 4.4 40. Baker Mayfield runs a 4.9 40. I don't see the comparison, sir.
Well, what about with Baker Mayfield? When has he ever failed? I mean, this is a guy that Bob Stoops, he didn't even know who he was. Trevor Knight, played in the Sugar Bowl, threw 4 touchdowns, and Baker Mayfield unseated Trevor Knight. He did go to Knoxville and come back. You can make fun of Tennessee all you want, but Tennessee had a very good defense that year. He was down 14 points in his 3rd overall start as a player. Baker Mayfield has thrived at every level he's played at. He's accurate. He wins from the pocket. Out of everybody in this draft class, he's the most sure thing. I mean, you could look at all these other quarterbacks that got selected. Mahomes, Mitchell Trubisky, who played 12 games at North Carolina. Baker Mayfield is one of the most accomplished college players, and you're absolutely right that there isn't a lot of guys, under 6 feet that are making it. But I just look at Mayfield and think that he's just really accurate with the ball. I'm not a Sam Darnold believer, And I just think that Mayfield can win from the pocket, and same with Josh Rosen.
I just feel like I know some of these quarterbacks are going to get taken in the top 5. It's a quarterback league, and it almost doesn't. I mean, it's almost, you can pretty much just know that the top 4 or 5 college quarterbacks every single year are going to get drafted in the first round of the NFL, regardless of anything. They just are. It's a quarterback-driven league. I'll also like to point out that Mitch Trubisky is 6'6". But listen, I could go on about Baker Mayfield all day. I wouldn't draft any of these guys this year, with the exception of Josh Allen in the first round. Sam Darnold's a turnover machine.
So, Lou,
Lamar Jackson is a running back. Listen, Lamar Jackson is bigger than Baker Mayfield. He's a running back. Sam Darnold's a turnover machine. Josh Rosen hugs trees and cries about the SEC half the time. Baker Mayfield's a lunatic and a nut job. But anyway, we got to get on to something else here. We're just going to have to disagree. I don't think Baker Mayfield's going in the top 10. I think his best shot, is 11 to the Dolphins. I don't think he's going top 10.
Mayfield. I'm going to chart this down. I love disagreeing with you, and I'll definitely chart it down. And you can come back to me when Baker's a bust, and certainly have me on and ridicule me. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll see. We'll find out Thursday night. I do think someone's going to take Mayfield in the first round, maybe the Dolphins, but I don't think he's going in the top 10. So we'll see. One of us will definitely be wrong. Running back position. Now they've got on here Barkley and Darius Geis. Hard to argue with that. I think Saquon Barkley is the best player in the draft. Cleveland's not going to take him because they're Cleveland, and they've passed on too many quarterbacks. Cleveland's going to have to take one of these quarterbacks, so they're not going to take Barkley at 1. I don't think Barkley will be available at 4 when Cleveland drafts again. I think Barkley goes 1, 2, or 3. I mean, 2 or 3. Am I wrong?
Right. I think that Saquon, I think he's going to go to the New York Giants at number 2. I think that the Giants really value Saquon. I think that Saquon's a guy that can turn around, franchise pretty quickly. You look at what Zeke did in his rookie season. So I see Saquon Barkley going to the Giants at number 2. It wouldn't make sense for the Giants to take a quarterback. No. The Giants have a good quarterback already in Webb that's waiting. So if he gets past the Giants, I think it's a big mistake. You look at Bradley Chubb from North Carolina State's also going to be a pick that everybody covets early on.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Cleveland go quarterback 1, Bradley Chubb 4, depending on what happens at number 3. I think quarterback's probably going to go 2 and 3. I think Cleveland will be able to get Chubb at 4, but we'll see. I think Bradley Chubb is probably the second best player in the just pure talent alone. I think Saquon Barkley is probably the most talented player in the draft. I would put Bradley Chubb close up there. Definitely the best defensive player, I think, in the draft.
Yeah, and you look at Quentin Nelson's a guard, and he's pretty flawless at being a guard, at that position. So, I think he's going to have a very good career as well. And then everybody else is kind of risky in some parts. You have Roquan Smith, you have Tremaine Edmonds, you have some of the linebackers, and that are also up there high on that list.
Yeah, let's talk about let's talk about some of the SEC guys who are likely to go in the first round. Roquan Smith for sure. If we start with the University of Georgia, is he a top 10 pick? Do you think?
I think Roquan has a chance at either the 49ers or the Oakland Raiders. I think he's tremendous around the football, a tackling machine. Now, some people have pointed out that he's slightly undersized and he might have trouble getting off of blocks. He's better if you just freelance him around the edges kind of. But I look at Roquan, if he doesn't go to the Raiders or the 49ers, he might take a dip. I've seen some mocks where he's landed at 20 or 19. But the guy, I think, is an athlete, Lou. He's all over the field, and he's a leader day one. His character's off the charts. So Roquan's definitely a first-round guy. It's just if he's going to be in the 20s or the teens. Right. And I think it's a mid-teens for Roquan Smith.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. I think, like you said, somebody is going to get a hell of a football player. Maybe he's a little undersized for inside linebacker. Maybe he's a little bit this, a little bit that. But like you said, no off-the-field issues at all. You don't have to worry about anything like that with him. He's a smart kid. His football IQ is through the roof. He can be the quarterback of a defense. He's a tackling machine. I agree with a lot of what you're saying
Yes.
there. Now, what about Minkah Fitzpatrick? Now, I think he's also one of the best available players in this draft. Now, typically safeties don't go top 5 or anything like that, but is he a top 10 to 15 pick, you think, or could you see him sliding further, or what do you think on him?
I think number 7, if Tampa Bay stays there, I see Fitzpatrick as a guy that can go 7 to Tampa Bay. Because Minkah is versatile. Like a lot of people in the NFL, they love these hybrids, whether it's a safety or a quarterback. And Minkah's a guy that's another leader of the defense. Everybody in Tuscaloosa, swears by him. I think he'd be a very good safety in the NFL. You look at Vernon Hargrave. I thought Vernon Hargrave would be really good coming out of Florida for Tampa Bay, but he's a guy that unfortunately was undersized, hasn't really lived up to his billing. If Minkah gets past number 10, that would be really disappointing for Fitzpatrick. Like he should go in the top 10. That's the expectations on him. And just put him at safety. Don't put him at cornerback. Be decisive. Put him at safety. I also think Derwin James from Florida State, that's another guy that I think is going to be a tremendous safety. I mean, he was a top 5 pick last year. Jimbo in Florida State was a mess this year, and Derwin is a guy that's really impressive on the field. He could be a freak at safety as well.
Yeah, they have 4 safeties listed here. They have the other safety from Alabama too, Ronnie Harrison, and then they have Marcus Allen from Penn State. You think all 4 could go in the first round? It would seem unusual to me to have 4 safeties drafted in the first round.
I think Ronnie Harrison, I don't think he's going to go in the first round. I think that he's definitely towards the second and third, and Marcus Allen too. They're going to be outside of the first round, I think.
Yeah. Is this a down year, do you think, for offensive linemen? Typically in years past, we've seen sometimes half of the top 10 has been offensive linemen. I mean, everybody wants an elite left tackle, but is this a down year for offensive linemen?
I think that this year there's not a shoo-in at left tackle. I think it's a great guard draft. Like, they have this kid, Willie Hernandez from UTEP, that's going to be very good. Quentin Nelson, I mentioned. I think that there's no offensive lineman that is really special. I mean, last year you had Garrett Bowles from Utah that, was very versatile and very skilled. The best offensive lineman is Mike McClinchy, Coleman Miller from UCLA, but it's a really weak tackle draft. And then you guys from UGA, Isaiah Wynn is a very good guard. It's a good interior draft, but in terms of tackles, it's really poor. And just to put this in perspective, Lou, the kid from Oklahoma, Orlando Brown, you probably heard about how terrible he was at the Combine. He's one of the best tackles available, Orlando Brown.
Yeah, just using Isaiah Wynn as an example. And I know he's going to be a guard in the NFL, and I've been saying that for 2 years while he's been busy playing left tackle at UGA. He was undersized. Our offensive line has been so bad over the last couple of years that we were forced to take Wynn and move him out to left tackle. But it's shocking to me. Like, I was happy with Wynn because in a time when our offensive line was terrible, he was reliable game in and game out. But I never thought he was great or elite, and I'm kind of surprised to see him listed here with first round talent. But I guess that just goes to show that we're lacking some of the elite offensive linemen coming out of college this year that we've seen in years past. Now, corner. Not quarterback, but cornerback on defense is another position that, every team wants that elite lockdown corner. If you can get 2, you're in hog heaven, but, half the teams in the league are struggling even to find one lockdown corner that they can rely on week in and week out. And with this being a pass-heavy league, a quarterback-driven league, cornerback has become one of the most important positions, and I think one of the most highest paid positions on the defensive side of the ball in the entire NFL. What are we looking at in this year's draft from the cornerback position?
Yeah, I think that this is a pretty deep cornerback draft, Lou. You know, you look at the top corners in this draft. You have Jair Alexander from Louisville. I really like the kid Isaiah Oliver from Colorado. He's a long and lengthy cornerback. And then at Auburn, you know, you have Carlton Davis, that he really kind of came onto the scene. Carlton Davis, I think he's a pretty solid player, very sound tackler. And then you really have some guys with upside. I think Duke Dawson is also going to play a long career. He's from Florida. He could definitely play nickel corner for a while. Then you have the LSU guys. And the LSU guys, there isn't like a shoo-in like Trey White. But you have Dante Jackson, who ran a great 40 time, and then a guy who didn't really play at LSU, kind of because of some immaturity, but a guy with a really high upside, is Kevin Tolliver from LSU. And then from Alabama, you've probably seen this guy play a lot, Anthony Averett. He didn't make a ton of interceptions, but these are guys that can play a long time in this league. From Iowa, you have Josh Jackson, who's a long cornerback. I don't think that there's a tremendous cornerback in this year's class, like not a guy that you draft super high. But one of my favorites is Isaiah Oliver, and I'm also going to go with Denzel Ward because that kid Lattimore on the Saints was just tremendous last year.
Yeah, Denzel Ward from Ohio State. Ohio State has sort of gained a reputation over the last couple of years, kind of like Florida, of you can pretty much just draft any starting defensive back from Florida or Ohio State, and you're going to have about a 50-50 chance of them having a successful NFL career. I mean, they churn out defensive backs year in and year out. Ohio State has been anyway for the last couple of years.
Yes, and Lou, you know, DeAndre Baker from Georgia, do you think he's going to be a first-round pick next year? I mean, he was impressive this
100%.
year.
I think DeAndre Baker will be the best cover corner in the SEC this year. I'm 100% convinced of that. Unless somebody steps up that was an unknown last year from another SEC team, whatever side of the field, which usually it's the left side of our defense, that DeAndre Baker is lined up on, I'm not worried about that side of the field at all. I mean, you're talking about a guy that made Calvin Ridley disappear in the national championship game.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't hear Calvin Ridley's name until midway through the fourth quarter. He completely locked him down. I'm a huge fan of DeAndre Baker.
And he's so long, and he struggled, you know, his first year with Kirby Smart. He let up some deep balls, but the guy's so long, he just was all over the field. And then did Aaron Davis graduate? Did he graduate this year? Or did he come in? Okay, Aaron graduated, but he was a guy that could hit also. So, you know, really talented defense. You look at your dogs, Lorenzo Carter had a tremendous combine. He's going to be a third-round pick at linebacker. So a lot of guys from that Georgia defense.
Yeah, now tell us about Chubb and Michelle, because a lot of Georgia fans are going to look up here with us talking about Saquon Barkley and Darius Geis and things like that, and they're going to say, why not Chubb? Why not Michelle? Now, I don't disagree. I think I've been saying Barkley was going to be a top 5 pick since last preseason, so I don't disagree. Geis, I'm not as sold on Darius Geis as being that much better than Chubb and Michelle as I am Barkley. But talk to us about Chubb and Michelle and where you see them fitting in.
Absolutely. I think that Sony's a guy that's just gained so much, you know, publicity, and rightfully so. I mean, the guy looks like he's 6'1". I was surprised to find out he's only 5'10". Sony is a guy that at the top of the second round, whether it's Cleveland or the Giants, he could literally be the 33rd or 34th overall pick. A lot of guys, you know, in this draft process are comparing him to Alvin Kamara of the Saints, just about like how fast he is, his ability to catch out of the backfield. He's a thoroughbred sort of running back. I think that Sony is going to be tremendous in this draft, and he is a lock for the, you know, at the latest, an early second round guy. Now you look at Nick Chubb, incredible production, but could Nick be a 3-round guy in the NFL?
No.
He doesn't have the same type of potential as Sony because he's a little smaller, a little bit more undersized. He kind of reminds me of Jonathan Stewart of the Panthers. So I look at Sony. I think Sony's going to be he could be a tremendous Hall of Fame type of running back. He just has a huge ceiling, and I think that Sony's going to be great. Nick Chubb will contribute to an NFL team. He's going to be a fourth-round pick. And then Darius Geis is a guy that you also mentioned. And Darius, I mean, he was missing out on some meetings. A lot of GMs are worried about his immaturity, and he was missing out on a lot of meetings. And that was surprising to hear that Darius Geis didn't kill it in the interview portion. So I think Darius is a pretty talented player. Fournette was very good. I was higher on Geis before last season than I am now.
All right, and I want to end with this. You're starting an expansion team in the NFL. Before you know what free agents or anything that you might be able to get. So just forget about existing players.
Yeah.
The NFL has given you the first 5 picks of the NFL draft this year. So you don't have to worry about needs because you have a need for every single position. You have 0 players on your team, and you get the first 5 picks of this year's NFL draft. What 5 players are you taking?
Man, this is a tremendous question to end on, Lou. I appreciate the question. You're not going to like it, but I'm going to say it anyway. The quarterback in this draft, I'm going Baker. I think Mayfield's going to be a guy who wins Super Bowls. He's a Russell Wilson to me. So I'm going Baker. You got to go quarterback. Then I'm going to get the guard Quentin Nelson, because Nelson's a guy that's just tough. He's gonna beat the heck out of you as a guard. He's just so talented. He knows Taekwondo. He can play any position on the field. So I'm going to go Quentin Nelson. Then I got to get Saquon Barkley. I got to get the running back. I want to pair Baker Mayfield and Saquon Barkley. If I were the Browns, I would try desperately to do that. I'm also going to take Derwin James out of Florida State. I'm super high on this safety. He reminds me of Cam Chancellor. He brings an edge to the game. So I'm going to go Derwin James is a very talented player, and boy, it's tough. You look at Minkah Fitzpatrick. Minka's a guy that I know I just took Derwin James, but Minkah is another guy who can be the leader of your defense. So I am going to go – boy, it's a difficult decision, that number 5 guy, but I am going to go – I'm going to take the linebacker actually out of the defense. I just think he has unbelievable potential. A guy that's freaky at 19 years old. So I'll go with those 5 guys.
Hard to argue with that, although I would definitely be willing to try. Hold on a second. Good morning. Yep, the Lou's just got home from school. Listen, Spence, I really appreciate you coming on and talking about this. I'd love to pretend that I'm an NFL expert or whatever, but I'm just not. And so you bring a lot to this show when you come on, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do it.
Hey, thanks, Lou. I love the show. I'm not an expert either, but it's a ton of fun chatting with you always, man. And just keep up the great work. I absolutely love the channel and all that you do. And thanks for having me on.
All right. Thanks, Spence. All right. Look here, guys. Lou Jr. is going to entertain you for about 2 minutes, and then I'll be right back. Entertain the people. Here. What are you doing? I don't know. Tell them to ask you questions or something. I'll be right back. I got to go get something for your sister. Okay. But, it's just they'll ask you questions in there, and you can entertain. Hold on, let's swap this over, and then they can see you too. Let's tell them. Type. Right, so, yeah, y'all ask Lou Jr. will entertain you, and Uncle Lou will be right back, and then I'll take some of your phone calls. Give me just a minute. Just ignore that. Just ignore that. You don't even have to touch it. Don't do it. Just. Okay. They'll ask you questions in the comment section. Uncle Lou will be right back.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't know you were there, babe.
Ask me quick questions. You don't need to type. Hey, David. Ugh.
Stop trolling me!
Hoghead, I did enjoy the spring game. It was cool.
Type.
Alright, there we go. Now you can see me. Mark Fox says, does your dad like cheesy tots? No, I don't think so. Will says, who's the best kicker in the world? I think the Georgia guy who wears the glasses. Dad, #1 ND fan said I'm quite the entertainer.
Did you talk to the people?
Yeah.
What'd you tell them?
Dad.
What? And they don't want to look at that.
No, they're looking at that.
No, they're not. That's what they're looking at. Because you hit any buttons again.
I hit this button.
Yeah, every time you hit that, it switches to screen. Hit it again.
Type.
Now they look at that now. Did you entertain the people?
Yes.
All right, let me sit back.
They asked me, wait, I need to pull up the comments.
All right, let me entertain the people now.
Okay.
About 10 more minutes and I'll be in.
Okay. Peace out.
Lou Jr. tells you, peace out there. Yeah, anyway, thanks again to Spence for coming on today. Anyway, we'll open up the phone lines now.
No, lady, how about you shut the up? I'm doing LouTube, bitch.
Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Lou?
What's up?
Hey, I'm a first time caller, and first of all, I want to say I've been watching the channel a while. Awesome channel.
I appreciate that. State your name and your team affiliation for the record.
Georgia, and my name is Chris Williams, and on your channel, I'm Go Dogs #1.
Go Dogs #1. All right. What can we do for you today, sir? What'd you think about the spring game?
I just wanted to say that I think it's almost impossible. I mean, I'm a huge believer in Fromm. I think his arm looks way stronger. I know he didn't have a great game, but I think it's Justin Fields is so talented. You can't keep him off the bench. I mean, on the bench. Do you agree with me on that?
I agree. If Justin Fields was a pocket passer, I would be totally against this idea of playing him every once in a while or whatever, but he's not. Having a dual threat quarterback and a pocket passer is almost like having players at two completely different positions. I'm perfectly okay with Jake Fromm starting and having Justin Fields go into the game during certain points and situations in the game, and I think that's what will happen. I think you'll see Justin Fields play early and often in every single game this year.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, Lou.
All right, appreciate the call. Yeah, I don't think Justin Fields is riding the bench for 3 years and then only starting his senior year. I think Justin Fields will start playing this year. He brings something totally different to the table than what you get from Jake Fromm, and that's not to take anything away from Jake Fromm. Justin Fields is a different type of player. I'm not telling y'all anything you don't already know. When you have a dual threat quarterback, it's almost like having a totally different position than a pocket passer, in my opinion. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
What's up, Uncle Lou? It's your 5-star caller Ryan from the comment section, man.
Hold on. Let me line you up here. I got too many of these buttons now.
5-star caller.
What's up, Ryan? What can we do for you?
Man, nothing much. Just been missing the last couple episodes, man. I've been at work, but I quit because I didn't like the job. And plus, I got some big news. I'm getting married this Friday, man. And my boss, the reason why I quit is because my boss told me, like, I asked him if I could go, assuming he'd say yeah, because I kind of got to be at my own wedding. But he's like, no, I got to think about it. I'm like, what the hell? And I ain't go back to the job. I was like, screw this.
Yeah, well, congratulations on getting engaged. Uncle Lou got engaged, too, on Friday, this past Friday.
Oh, sweet, dude.
Yeah, so good morning.
Also, let's do this right now. Let's plan the weddings back to back together. Let's do it.
Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to plan any part of my wedding, so.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well, I got all the freedom in the world. They don't care.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be told when to show up and where, hopefully.
That's about the way it always is. Hey,
yeah.
Man, you really think like that Oklahoma fan that called in earlier, or not Oklahoma fan, but Spencer or whatever his name was?
Yeah.
You really think Baker Mayfield's gonna go first round? I think he's gonna go second or higher, man. I don't think he's a first round pick.
I wouldn't take him if I was a GM in the NFL in the first round, but I do think some team will reach and take him. My guess is that he goes 11 to the Dolphins. Now, if for some reason the Dolphins don't take him at 11, then he could slide a ways after that, but I have a feeling he will go number 11 to the Dolphins.
I guess somewhat agree with that. I mean, I'm not saying he's bad, but I'm 6'1", barefooted, wearing nothing. He's probably about Johnny Manziel's height, which is like 5'11", 5'10", whatever. But I don't know. I don't think he's a first caliber draft pick, but that's just my opinion. But no, hey, I saw on the thing where it says Kentucky's attendance for talking about the spring A-Day game and G-Day game and all that stuff. I saw on your thing where it said Kentucky had a better attendance than the Barners. You know why that is, man?
Why is that?
Because I swear, me and JC went to the A-Day game. I swear, I saw more Auburn fans there. Well, I'm not going to say more than Alabama, but there were so many daggum Auburn fans. I don't keep up with Auburn football. I can't, I'll probably become a Democrat before I become, an Auburn fan. But was Auburn's A-Day game the same as Alabama's A-Day game, or did they have it two separate Saturdays?
No, Auburn's was a couple of weeks ago, and Auburn fan has an excuse for everything. So their excuse is it was raining. So if it wouldn't have been raining, they would have had more fans at their spring game. If Kerryon Johnson wouldn't have got hurt, they might would have won the SEC. If they would have cared about that bowl game, they might would have beat UCF. It's the if University War Tigers.
You ain't lying. I swear, man. Granted, my girlfriend's an Auburn fan, but she came, man, I'll tell you what, she got some heart, man. She was decked out in Auburn, head to toe, going to the A-Day game with me. But, I can understand her going because she's in support of me.
Right.
I'm a, Alabama fan. She wasn't trying to be a troll and, say, hey, look at me, I'm Auburn at the A-Day game or whatever, But I swear to you, there was a lot of Auburn fans there. I was like, what are y'all doing? Y'all got y'all's own home. We don't want no pests around, a superior, good-looking stadium. I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna call out the pest control and take care of them, man. It was so stupid. I thought it's kind of like seeing your high school teacher, out, probably at a party or a club somewhere, and you feel like weird because she sees you at the club and you see her at the club, and y'all are at a high school, y'all go to a high school thing together. I mean, it was weird seeing them, man. It was I don't know, it was uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, I have to ask you, since you were at the game, why does Jalen Hurts still suck as a quarterback?
Because he cannot throw the ball, Lou. He cannot throw the ball. I was talking to my older brother today, or not today, but a couple of days ago, and I hope he transfers, man. I like him to death. A couple years back, Alabama had
had this quarterback, and everybody thought he was going to be a hot shot. Star Jackson, I don't know if you ever heard of him. A lot of people have, a lot of people haven't. But everybody thought he was going to be all right because he could run the ball, he could throw the ball, but this was when, like, Alabama, Nick Saban didn't really want to, have that dual threat quarterback. He wanted to be that traditionalist that always had that pocket passer.
Right.
Well, he's kind of like Star Jackson. He can run the ball, but he can't hit the broadside of a barn, man. I'm telling you, he had one good pass, and it was like a 50 or 60-something yard pass or whatever. I don't know, but it was downfield, and that's the only thing. That's the only thing I saw good in that. Tua didn't play or whatever because of his hand, but the third string, it was a white guy. I forgot what his name was. He was number 10, but he did better than Jalen. How you gonna let a third stringer show up a starter?
Right. Yeah, a lot of issues with Jalen Hurts right now at Alabama. You mentioned his something about him transferring. I'm doing a video on this tomorrow, so I don't want to give too much away now. But for those of you that don't know, Jalen Hurts' dad basically came out and said if Jalen Hurts doesn't start, then he's transferring, and Jalen Hurts will be the greatest free agent in college football history or something like that. Anyway. I'll have my thoughts on that tomorrow. But Ryan, I'm going to let you go to try to get to a few more callers. But I appreciate you calling in today, and I hope you had fun at the A-Day game. I'm sure you did. But yeah, tomorrow's video will be my thoughts on that situation with Jalen Hurts and his dad, basically coming out and putting his foot in his mouth, saying Jalen better start or we're gone. I can think of a lot of dumb things to say. I can't think of very many things dumber to say than that. But I'll give you all my thoughts on that in the video tomorrow. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Lou. This is Escalade.
Stop trolling
me! Good morning, sir. Good morning.
I was wondering to know who's the Seahawks going to pick in the NFL draft.
Who the Seahawks are going to pick?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I have no clue. I don't even know what number pick they have. I have no idea. That's why I had Spencer on to educate you guys about the draft, because I don't have a clue. I have no idea.
All right. I get.
I mean, I could have made something up, but better to just tell you I don't know. I have no clue who the Seahawks are going to draft. No idea at all. They're not drafting a quarterback, I can tell you that. Other than that, I really don't know. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
That's why I had Uncle Lou. Hey, how you doing, man?
Good morning. I'm doing great.
I just want to hear your thoughts on
You said thoughts on Sony Michel?
Yeah, him and the difference between him and Chubb.
Yeah, and state your name for government reasons.
Will.
Okay, Will. My thoughts on Chubb and Michelle. If I'm a team that already has a running back that can catch the ball out of the backfield, or an undersized type running back, and I need a first and second down back, I'm looking at Nick Chubb. If I basically don't have any decent running backs and I need a running back that can play all three downs, a running back that can run between the tackles, that can run outside, that can catch passes out of the backfield, that can pass protect on blitzes, that can play the slot if I need him to, and that can also be a return man if I need him to, I'm looking at Sony Michel. My gut tells me that Sony Michel is going to get taken ahead of Nick Chubb because he provides more value to an NFL team than Nick Chubb does. I don't think Nick Chubb's going to be playing on third downs in the NFL. Yes, I know he caught a handful of passes in college, and I know he can pass protect. That's great. But the NFL positions are specialized, and a lot of teams have a first and second down running back and a third down running back. Very few teams have a running back that can play all three downs, and I think Sony Michel is that kind of running back. So therefore, I think he provides more value to a team. You add to that the fact that he can play slot receiver and return kicks if you need him to, and for that reason, I think Sony Michel will get drafted ahead of Nick Chubb. But I do think Nick Chubb will have a long and successful career in the NFL as a first and second down back. I think he'll score a lot of touchdowns. I think he'll get a lot of yards, and I think he'll get a lot of playing time. But I would take Michel over Chubb.
All right, last thing. Do you think that Chubb would be a much better prospect, maybe like a sure first-round pick if he did not tear his ACL or tear up everything in his knee in his sophomore year?
I'm sure that the knee is something that these scouts and general managers are at least considering, but I think it would be a much bigger issue had it happened at some point this season than last season, or had he entered the draft last year instead of coming back for his senior season. I think he pretty much showed this past year that he's physically and mentally 100% recovered from that knee injury. So I'm not so sure that that's going to be that big of an issue in terms of where he gets drafted.
All right, gotcha. Appreciate it, man.
All right, thanks for the call. Yeah, I've been saying for a while, I love Chubb and Michelle both, and I'd take either one of them on my team in a heartbeat. But in terms of NFL, I've been saying for a while, I think that Sony Michel just provides more value to an NFL team at this point than Nick Chubb does because of all the different things that he can do. So maybe I'm wrong, but I have a feeling Michelle goes ahead of Chubb. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou.
What's up, Uncle Lou? It's the Ultimate Troll here.
Good morning, the Ultimate Troll. Yes. What can we do for you today, Troll?
Stop trolling me!
Well, you hung up on me last time. I have two things to say today, and I'm gonna try and make it quick. Well, actually, I have time. So anyway, one thing first. Before you hung up on me last week, I forgot to tell you, Kirby Smart and Gus Malzahn have the same exact record, minus the one extra playoff game after 2 years. Did you know?
But what record do they have head-to-head, though?
I think they're, two? Kirby is 2-2, has 2 wins. Gus has. Next year it'll be 2-2.
So Kirby has beat. So what you're telling me is that Kirby has beat Gus Malzahn 66% of the time.
Right now, yes.
Okay.
Because that's that one extra game.
And would you rather have Gus Malzahn for $7 million a year or Kirby for $3.5 million a year?
Well, you don't know how good Kirby is yet. You have to wait until I would at least say this year to really figure out how good of a coach he is. I mean, you guys are making him out to be a god. He went 8-5 in his first season and then made it to the national title game. For all you know, he could go 7-6 next season. You don't know until at least give it another year before you start declaring him Nick Saban's younger son. I mean, come on, guys.
If Kirby Smart goes 7-6 this year, I will get an Ultimate Troll tattoo.
That would be great. Okay, and so now the one thing I need to make out. Ryan Stanfield, the 5-star, said something about the Auburn A-Day game.
Yes.
Don't tell me excuses. You know exactly why we didn't have that many people there. There were like 30-mile-an-hour winds, and it was freaking thunderstorming. What do you expect?
I expect fans to show up and support their team and not worry about getting wet. I mean, what's a little bit of water gonna do? I mean, y'all aren't wicked. Y'all aren't the Wicked Witch of the East. Y'all aren't gonna melt if you get wet. For Christ's sake, Kentucky had more fans than you, for crying out loud.
It was 2 inches of rain that day, Lou.
So are you telling me? So you're telling me you would have had more fans at the game if it wasn't raining? And you'd have had more fans at the game, and you would have had more fans at the game if it wasn't windy?
Yes. Gus Malzahn, in the first 5 years of his coaching tenure, had, I think, between 60,000 and 80,000 fans at a spring game every time. What in the world after a 10-4 season would make you think that number's going to go down to 4,000? The only reason it did that is because of the weather. If you don't think that, you are retarded.
Do you think you would have had more fans at the spring game if you would have beat Central Florida?
Well, forget about the Central Florida thing, okay?
Okay, do you think you would have had more fans at the spring game if you would have won the SEC?
Okay, that's another thing that's been pissing me off. You keep saying carry on. It's her championship game. We had 6 starters hurt by second quarter.
How many
And I can
scholarships
name
do
them all
you have?
for you if you would.
How many scholarships do you have?
Lou, if you lose 6 starters from a team, your performance is gonna go down. That's just gonna happen. Don't tell me. Imagine losing Roquan Smith, Nick Chubb, who else? A few of your receivers, 1 or 2 offensive linemen, and see how good your team is gonna do. I don't care how many scholarships you have, especially who we lost in that game. So don't tell me it's just because Carry-On wasn't hurt. We had 6 players out of that game.
Carry-On wasn't out of that game. Carry-On played, so.
Okay, Carry-On was still injured.
No. He wasn't injured. Injured people don't play. Hurt people play. That's the difference between being hurt and being injured, sir.
Dabo Sweeney plays injured people all the time. You can play injured people all you want.
Were all those people still injured a month later when you lost to UCF?
We had, Carlton Davis, a guy who's probably going to go first round this year, did not play because of the NFL draft. Braden Smith, also in the NFL draft, top offensive lineman during that game. Carry-On Johnson, still injured, don't care what you say. Who else? A few other players, I think, what's his name? Nate Craig Myers, he wasn't in that game. So we were missing still quite a few people from that game.
Okay, in 2016, when you didn't get a single first down against Georgia and we beat you without scoring an offensive touchdown, Cam Petway didn't play. That was it. One player.
In 2016, we weren't very good. I will be the first to admit it.
Neither were we. You just got done telling me. You just got done telling me we weren't any good in 2016 because we went 8-5. So we weren't any good either. So when we're not very good, we still beat Auburn. When we are good, like this past year, we beat you when it counts. Sir, everybody has 85 scholarships. If candy, what is it? If candies and nuts was rainbows and butts or whatever the hell, listen, son. You can pay Gus Malzahn $17 million a year for all I care, and God knows I hope you do. The guy can't coach his way out of a wet paper bag.
Lou, do you know how much production we're getting back next year?
Not enough to matter.
What? Lou.
You're losing Carry-On Johnson. That was your entire team last year, sir. Your whole team was Carry-On luggage last year. That's it.
Auburn is going to have some of the best wide receivers in college.
Where were they at last year? Where were they at last year, sir? Huh?
Remember Ryan Davis?
No.
Lined up Alabama, Georgia, everybody?
No, I don't.
Ryan Davis, he's just like Riley Ridley. We have plenty of good receivers.
Where were they at last year? Where were they at? Where were they at the first week? Where were they at in the first week of December? Did Ryan Davis play in the SEC championship game? All this returning production you have coming back. Did that production play in the SEC championship game? Did Ryan Davis play in the SEC championship game? Did Jarrett Stidbaloney play in the SEC championship game? Did Jeff Holland play in the SEC championship game?
Are you meaning to tell me that?
Did Carlton Davis, or whatever the hell his name is, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's stepbrother, did he play in the SEC championship game? Where was all this production the first week of December, sir?
So you're telling me they aren't production. So what you're trying to say is they aren't good. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm agreeing with you. And we still beat the shit out of you, sir.
Like we did to 40-17.
What did that get you? What did that get you?
It got us to win against you, and it made you mad. I remember watching the post-game video. You were pretty mad, Lou.
Sir. Do I seem mad, sir?
You seem very mad.
Do I seem mad to you, sir, that we lost to you in a meaningless regular season game, sir?
Well, you sure did after the game.
No! After the game, I put up a video saying that was all part of the plan. I literally put up a video of me laughing for 4.5 minutes and then saying it's all part of the plan. This plan! This plan, sir. This plan. This plan. Show me that SEC West ring. Let's see that Let's see that November championship trophy.
Don't get your blood pressure over. Thank you for watching out for your son. Have a great day.
Have a great day. The ultimate troll never lets us down. I gotta go. Have a great day and an even better morning, too.